All right, go for it.
Okay, I will call the Planning, Property and Legislative Committee for Wednesday, August 28th to order at 5:30. I will do a roll call and we have a quorum. All trustees are here. I ask for a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes from the current agenda and the minutes from the April 23rd, 2025 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. To ask for public comments from, we have individuals here. And I'm also gonna move up number 11, because that seems to be the hot topic on the agenda. I don't know if people have an agenda. There are agendas here if you want one. If you're interested. That's the presentation discussion on the enhanced wake boating on Nepco Lake. So we can get through that, because we're going to go through some ordinances, and I'm not sure everybody wants to. It looks like we have some people that would like to speak, so I will ask for public comments. If, Jason, if you have 3 minutes, please.
Okay, well, my name is Jason Drzinski. Local here to Wisconsin Rapids, I'm Port Edwards, and thank you for the time. So, it's come to my attention regarding the Lake Nepco district on some of the proposals, and I guess I just have a comment on that. I do not regularly attend the Nepco Lake District meetings. I do read the meetings, however. And in reviewing the July 15th, 2024 minutes, I noted a letter from a resident expressing strong concerns about wakeboard boats. As an avid outdoorsman and conservationist, I appreciate and share the author's concerns regarding the water quality, habitat protection for fish, birds, and waterfowl, and the importance of responsible land and shoreline stewardship. A healthy ecosystem should be a collective goal for all of us. That said, I believe it is inaccurate to place disproportionate blame on wakeboard boats for ecological issues on Nepco Lake. I have lived on the lake year-round for approximately 10 years. And in this time, I've only seen 2 other wakeboard boats aside from my own. These boats were present on perhaps 10 total days, and none were being used for wake surfing. I cannot confirm whether ballast tanks or wake enhancing devices were used for other activities like skiing and wakeboarding, but the minimal presence of such boats makes it difficult to justify singling them out as a primary concern. Before any further proceedings or advancements to any additional boards, I would respectfully request that the planning committee obtain and share more detailed information specific to Nepco Lake. In particular, I urge the Nepco Lake District to present measurable concerns and proposed solutions supported by data and observations directly related to our lake. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, what are we talking about here? Oh, are we talking like a jet boat? Is that what?
No, never, do you want to describe to him what an enhanced wake boat is?
I don't think that I would be the best one to do that.
I know I'm not.
I think that's debatable on what a wakeboard boat is or a wake boat. Any boat, and that, I guess that's where I'm going with this, is any boat can produce a wake.
Yeah.
There are now pontoon boats that can be surfed behind. So I don't know where, I have seen various documents being floated around. All of them are generalizations from what I've seen, boilerplate, copy and pasted from other internet sources. Most with debatable wording that's maybe hot topics or stuff to make you turn or click a page. I haven't seen anything specific. All as far as like the question goes, I don't know. I don't know how you would determine that. I don't know how you would enforce that. I don't know how you would identify that. Other than the stereotypical, someone in a boat, a wakeboard boat, which would be 20 feet long, roughly 20 to 25 feet long, tower, flat brim hat, sunglasses.
But it doesn't matter if it's
But every
prop
boat-
driven or jet,
What's that?
or it doesn't matter if it's prop driven or jet. I mean, we're talking about just a specific make of a boat. It's-
From my understanding, the little research that I've done in the last week or two, they have ballast to increase the weight to cause the bow to come up to give a bigger wake. Am I correct in that statement?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's debatable in itself right there. I mean, it can be a pontoon.
Because most of what I'm reading on the environmental concerns are with the ballasts. And filling it with water and then carrying species, zebra mussels or whatever to other, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just trying to learn and I'm open to.
If you put 18 people on a pontoon boat, you are most certainly capable of surfing behind that boat without a ballast bag being.
Okay.
So any boat, a ski boat, any boat it's the weight, whether it's a ballast, whether it's people, whether it's 45-pound plates from the gym.
Are you planning?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I want to hear what you have to say, but the ballast is a concern. The wake is another concern from my understanding. Yeah, I could be wrong.
It appears to be so.
Yes, what I'm reading.
I guess that if we're gonna go there, I think you bring us, someone said a jet boat, they'll bring water in and spit water out,
Yes,
concern. Live wells
yeah,
from fishermen.
they
I mean,
all,
it just goes on and on and on.
DNR has concerns on all of that. So
Yeah.
thank you for your time. We will move on because I know we've got a condition report that needs to get presented. So thank you. Did that answer your
Yeah.
question? We can get into that. Hopefully get your question answered. I'm gonna butcher.
It's Rafe.
Right, okay,
Yeah, Rafe.
thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So kind of talking on the same topic here. Rafe Gross, I am from the Wisconsin Rapids area. I grew up here. Water sports have given me a lot through the years. I've participated in local water ski teams. We've skied around the Wisconsin River for years. I've skied out on NEPCO several times. So my biggest thing with this, and it has been a big push, I think I'm on the Wisconsin Water Ski Federation board, so I've seen amateur water ski teams around the state deal with this in different capacities, and a lot of it has been geared towards kind of the wakeboard boats and wake enhancement and wake surfing more so than necessarily water skiing or show skiing at this time. But I think the biggest thing for me, and as a water skier, if I'm sitting down getting ready to go barefooting and it's glass calm water, I don't love looking off in the distance and seeing a big wakeboard wake or wake surf wake coming at me either. But at the same time, my biggest takeaway from trying to educate myself and talk to different people is that, a lot of us, whether or not we're water skiers or wake surfers, or fishermen, we've got this shared public resource that we really want to take care of, utilize in an effective manner and share. I mean, it's a blessing that we're able to have all these lakes. So my thing is really education, prioritized over any blanket limitation. And I think there's been a lot of organizations that have really tried to emphasize this as their mission statement. One of the ones that comes to mind for me is the Lake Lovers Club, which is all about, effective and kind of complementary water sports with the rest of the users of the public water resources in the state. So I think it's just important to, rather than go through and blanket limitations, to the extent that we can educate every single user of the lake on how to treat it effectively and work with the other users of the lake. That's really my goal, rather than just any blanket limitations. I see wake surf boats misuse the resource, and I see, fishermen misuse the resource. It's kind of, every dog has its day in this fight. And I wouldn't want to restrict the fishermen usage any more than I would want to do the wake surf usage, and I'd probably fall somewhere in the middle. So I just think, as I've seen this proliferate throughout the state and frankly throughout the nation, a lot of these blanket bans, it seems like so many steps are skipped when it comes to, you know, education and trying to share this resource effectively. So that's my big piece here is, you know, we sound like we're kind of presenting some steps that are maybe quite a bit further along in the process, when education and trying to use these resources effectively together is probably the best first step.
Thank you. Nick,
Yeah, I'm Nick Kryling, just moved to town just about a year ago. From basically the personal side of this, I'll get into a little bit first. It's all about my family. It's spending time on the water with my family. My kids love doing this. I love doing this. It gets them off their phones. It gets them outdoors. It gets them doing the things that we all want our kids to be doing. I'm a disabled vet, and so for me, skiing, not really good option. Wakeboarding, not a good option. What activity can I do on the water? And so I come with the understanding of reasonable and responsible use of a wake enhanced boat of some sort. I think I have studies here I can give to you. At 200 feet from shore, it's not doing any more damage to the shoreline than any other boat 100 feet from shore. And with today's boats, with, you know, these huge pontoon boats, other things, they're actually doing more damage at 100 feet from shore than this boat would ever do. The data is complex. There's wave energy involved. It's not just wave height, it's wave energy. And so a wave that's higher doesn't necessarily do more damage to the shoreline than any other boat. And you can go down the line, and this sediment as well, at 15 feet, there's really nothing noticed. But there is up to 15 feet of water. Less than that, it can be noticed from any kind of boat, not just a boat that is wake surfing. Another big part of this in the condition report that's being supplied to you today is they talk about not using a boat in transitional speed. However, we will let people ski at transitional speed. We'll let them wakeboard transitional speed, tubing. But the ultimate line there is that you're going to ban if you go with this ordinance as is, you're banning anybody using a boat transitional speed. Transitional speed for most boats is 10 to 19 miles an hour. There again, my kids, my 4-year-old, if I get them on a tube with my 12-year-old, I'm not going 20 miles an hour. That's crazy. So I think a lot of the data has been cherry picked for groups that are trying to shut this down. The fishermen have jumped on board with them, and they've made a hell of a team to try to fight, honestly. Throughout the state, there's a lot of these things that are happening, a lot of these bans, but there are a lot of municipalities and communities that aren't following through with it. The invasive species is another thing. There's 80% of the boats that are going out in the Wisconsin waters are fishing boats. And so they have less water in them that could potentially spread these species. But because of the overall number, they're 11 times more likely than a wakeboard boat or a ballast boat to spread it, because there's so many more of them. So you have to look at the overall gallons of water, not just one specific boat versus the other. There's the safety issue. I'd love to know how many incidents there have been on Nepco Lake with somebody wake surfing that has caused an issue. How many times have the police been contacted to take care of an issue? The data that I have says that there's been 0 accidents with these boats in the state of Wisconsin that have been reportable to a police department. So people are driving these things safely for the most part. Yes, there are people that ruin it for everybody, but that goes fishermen, tubers, everything across the board. My ask for the committee is that before you take a vote on this and you move forward, we're given an opportunity to present something as comprehensive as this condition report. Basically, we had a week's notice on trying to get things together for this. And I think I would just like the same adequate amount of time, more than 3 minutes, to go through the data and show slides and go through all those things. So I ask that you just give us a chance to come back and fight this a little bit further and show you the science and not just a portion of the science.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
have handouts. Do you want just on the table?
Yes, please.
Thanks, Nick.
Nice to meet you.
We're okay to do that, right? Okay. I mean, and have. Thank you for all the input, the public input. I'm going to, in trying to keep everybody here and not sit through the other things, move number 11, the presentation and discussion of the wake ordinance on Nepco Lake up. So I will ask for the condition report.
I feel a little outnumbered here. I'm sorry to see that, but, let me try to explain. Thank you. Eric, regarding your question, wake enhanced boats are manufactured in a certain way. They, and maybe not all of them that you mentioned, but most contain ballast tanks. Those are water tanks that pump in the lake water. And also enhancing fins on the hull design. So these are powerful engines. When you fill these tanks, it adds up to 5,000 pounds. And that enables the boat to be causes a bow up, stern down position as it plows through the lake. They don't go really fast at all. It's actually kind of a slow moving when it's in wake enhanced mode. And that allows a person to surf, just like on the ocean, behind the boat without a tow rope. These waves that are produced are 6 to 12 times more powerful than a ski boat. They create 2 to 4 foot high waves. For perspective, if you think about 24 inches to 48 inch high wave, when you are in the freeboard distance, which is the distance between the water and the top deck of a vessel. So if you're in a kayak, that's about 7 inches. If you're in a canoe, it's about 10 inches. If you're in a bass boat, it's about 12. These are large waves coming at other vessels, and they dissipate with distance. But there was a mention of 200 feet away. Even at 200 feet away from another vessel or shore or a dock, they only dissipate to 16 inches. They're still powerful waves at 200 feet. State law is 100 feet from a shoreline, any boat right now. These boats, the waves that are hitting shoreline with these boats are destroying shorelines. I've physically watched rocks fall and then soil be eroded from these boats. So these waves cause more than just damage to shorelines and docks. The waves damage waterfowl, bird nesting areas such as loons. Loons build their nests on the water right near the shore. High waves hitting nesting areas result in the abandonment of nests and loss of loon chicks. Loons have returned to Nepco year after year. And my fear is eventually they'll be forced to nest and live elsewhere. We're pretty lucky to have Aptera loons living on the west side of Nepco Lake. The other thing these boats are designed to do is their downward engine thrusts, the powerful thrusts that are straight down, which are different from pontoon boats, they're different from speed boats, fishing boats. These are directed down the bottom of the lake. That those engines and that force will destroy fish spawning areas. It also will uproot aquatic plants and stir up the bottom sediment areas. which are when the wake boats are run in less than 20 feet deep. NEPCO is mostly 8 to 12 foot deep. There are some areas that are 20 foot, but it's not long enough to have a pattern of a wake boat all around a 20 foot area. The 20 foot areas deep are too small. So the stirring up of this sediment and stuff, that causes water clarity issues. It also causes the bottom sediment to be disturbed. Studies have found that resuspending this sediment can increase phosphorus level, which are in the water column, which can lead to algae blooms. Really nasty stuff. Any other toxic substance that may be safely embedded in sediment can be stirred up and degrade water quality and pose additional risk to aquatic wildlife and plants for years. So last week, the Nepco Lake District Board of Commissioners unanimously passed a motion which requested the village of Port Edwards to create a wake enhanced boat ordinance on Nepco Lake. Nepco Lake is a small lake. These boats are made for large lakes like Petenwell, Winnebago, areas that can provide enough dissipation of these waves before it gets to a shoreline or wildlife areas or anything else. The procedure to pass an ordinance that affects a lake is really a unique situation. The DNR gets involved in that. The village can't just pass an ordinance. The procedure is a draft ordinance and what's called a condition report, which is like a document that justifies the reason for the ordinance, must be submitted to the DNR. They'll review it, do an administrative review. They'll get back to you in 20 days. Then the stipulation is there's a wait time of 60 days that must occur before enacting any kind of ordinance. There also must be plenty of time for public hearing, other opinions, voice concerns against this ordinance, and that's in the law. Before an ordinance can be enacted, there has to be a public hearing on the ordinance at least 30 days before it's enacted. To make things a little bit more unique, in cases where multiple towns have lakefront property on the waterway, in this case, Nepco it's got Port Edwards, it's got Saratoga, and then it's got Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is about 6 homes. It's not very much, but it's 3 municipalities. So in the cases of more than one municipality, the DNR requires 2 of the 3 municipalities to enact an identical ordinance. In this case, there's a substantial number of homes that are in Saratoga. But mostly, and I can't remember what it is, it might be 60 to 70% is Port Edwards. And with regard to the public hearing required, Port Edwards can hold the public hearing on behalf of all municipalities because it's the larger municipality. So because of the mandate of 2 out of 3 towns have to be required to pass an identical ordinance, Saratoga has and hasn't had any meetings yet, but will be approached to try to gauge their feelings on this issue as well. With regard to enforcement, the police chief Abbott indicated he would enforce an ordinance if passed by the village board. He relates he has jurisdiction over the entire Nepco waterway. He related that if a complaint was filed, he would just investigate it based on identifying information of a boat or whoever. Like it was mentioned before, I think there's 4 boats on the lake right now. But, you know, I think the hope is not to punish folks that have a wakeboard, but boat, but rather to educate the damaging effects that these can cause, and as well as the misuse. We did have an incident actually with a weed harvester and a wake boat last summer. And what happened was these weed harvesters, the operator sits up, kind of like up on a tower. And these weed harvesters pull and cut weeds and they load them onto the platform of the harvester. They become very heavy. And they're not real stable. And what had happened was a boat in wake enhanced mode, was going across the lake. And this harvester was full at the time, and they can capsize, actually, these harvesters. It's not hard to capsize those are when they're loaded, especially. Anyway, it was a close call. The operator was able to turn the boat 90 degrees to where the waves were coming and avoid a bad situation. But it was a real close call. As of last week, there is 52 towns in the state of Wisconsin that have passed ordinances similar to this one. A recent survey of Wisconsin residents indicated when asked if they would support state legislative creating a new statute that prohibits the use of wakeboat ballast systems on Wisconsin lakes and rivers, 73% said yes. 10,002 people. When you look at the ordinance, the draft, it does pretty much specify the type of boat we're talking about here. It can't be a speedboat, it can't be a pontoon, it can't be, it's a boat that is in artificially bow high manner by use of ballast tanks or ballast bags, water tanks, bringing that weight, or fins. It also excludes any boat that has the potential to use ballast water but not filling their tanks. It allows wake surfing, but with a tow rope. Not without, and it's a low, and without the ballast being filled, it would be a less energy with the wave. So it's not banning at all by any means. It's just trying to calm down the damage to the ecological part of the lake and the damage to the shorelines and docks and boats that these waves cause. So it would be my hope that since we have to go through all these hoops anyway, we gotta come back for a public hearing. I think it would be appropriate to have a full village board discussion. It would be my recommendation that this committee direct Administrator Martinson to send the draft ordinance to the village attorney. Then send the condition report and the draft ordinance to the DNR. If you all think that this is not necessary, you don't have to pass it, but getting these steps to go through DNR is required before you can enact anything. So that would be my
Couple questions.
I guess.
You have anything else?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Questions?
So are you on the Lake Association Board, Scott, or are you just here as a resident?
No, I'm here as a homeowner.
Okay,
Yeah, I am.
you are on board and you're on the board. Now, who, was it the Lake Association that created this, the resolution?
I did, and I got help from a couple of places, one called the Last Wilderness Alliance. And one called Lake and Stakes, and there's another organization called Green Fire. These are some of the organizations that were mentioned before that are promoting regulation of these types of energy producing boats.
What other lakes around here have banned wake surfing? Or is it available? You can do this. I mean, can you do it at Camelot? Can you do it at Arrowhead? Can you do it?
Yeah, and currently you can do it at the lakes down south of here, Camelot, Sherwood, Arrowhead. But from my understanding, they are contemplating a similar ordinance. I don't know what stage they're at. I have no idea. I know Wapaka just passed one, and I can't remember the last ones that came up recently, but I could think the closest one was probably Wapaka.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Scott mentioned what is that, the alliance that you mentioned?
Last Wilderness.
Yeah, Last
Alliance
Wilderness
is the name.
Alliance. So they have a lot of information. And as a board member, who attended meetings at the Lakes and Rivers Association or whatever, we are not going to follow their approach to ordinances. They did no contacting at all to ballast boat owners on those lakes before they passed this, created a tremendous amount of disenchantment. And what we're trying to do is at least allow people to be informed, not to their full liking. But I'm doing my best to try to make sure that they have their voice and they're aware of all the meetings and so forth, because I'm not going to do that of trying to push something forward without getting that opportunity. So I just want to be clear, we're not in support of the approach that the Lake Alliance did. We are using some of their data, but we're not following that process.
And, correct me if I'm wrong, but every homeowner on the lake got an email about this, right?
That it was being considered,
Yeah, this topic.
correct.
Do I have to go off ask to go off table?
Correct. Without
Do you have any problems
Could
going
you-
off table?
Could you recognize,
Do you have any problems going off table?
no, I'd love to have
Okay,
Nick
go
respond.
ahead. We've got to ask if we can go off table.
Yeah, Nick, go ahead.
Nick, go ahead.
I'm in the process of building a home on Lake Nepco. I did not get the original email. I was basically a friend of a friend.
Okay.
Shared that with me to sort of say that every person who owns property on Nepco would not be true.
I stand corrected. Everyone that we have an address for, okay, and or an email for that owns property we use. It changes, as Diane will be aware of, it changes pretty regularly.
Okay.
So, yes, and then but in the email, we ask people, hey, if you know somebody that might not be getting this, please forward to them and let us know.
Okay.
So is Nick on the list now? He's on the list now because we became aware of it.
So, yeah, there's been efforts to communicate with everybody about this
Yeah,
and I know.
We
it's-
want an open dialogue. We're in the discovery mode right now, and I
Right.
appreciate everybody's input. Hang on. You had your hand up first.
Yeah, just some context on the Wapaka lakes that were used as an example.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure, thanks.
Those lakes have historically been complicated from a water sports, lens in general. Their restrictions on the chain limit water skiing to either just one or two of the chain lakes, and it's only allowed 10 AM to 2 PM. So those are very restrictive communities as they stand, and the bar to enforce further water sport restriction is quite low. Those communities.
Yeah, and that's not, I don't think that's your intent, is it, to?
No, I mean, there's 52 other towns that have done this, so.
They had restrictions there in the 1960s when I was a kid, as far as when you could ski.
Okay,
So it's been 60 years, so this would be nothing new.
okay. You had your hand up.
I want to note that why is it the email just going to homeowners if they had signed up, or it's such a selective group? It's a public lake.
We take the register, addresses or names from the Wood County, website. And everyone that we, have are people that we've tried to contact and ask them to pass it on at the annual meetings. We ask people to update them. Any updates we get, we try to do, but, you can imagine that's pretty hard to do when you don't know always when property changes or when it
I'm not
occurs.
even talking about just the property owners. You're saying that you're asking property owners.
Yeah,
This isn't
for their
just a-
addresses,
this
yes,
isn't
we
just
are.
the property owner's decision is what I'm saying, and the input is very, the input that we're requesting or that you're asking for data from is very selective to a limited group.
Well,
It's not a, all encompassing, like, hey, we think this is gonna be a good idea. This is, it's like, we ask 10 people and then we come up with,
I didn't ask 10 people. We sent out to, I don't know how, Larry, how many people did we send the email to roughly?
130.
And offered to contact them and contact me. And followed up with Nick and let him know, send him material. And I'll do that with anybody that wants that. It's available in the public meetings and so on. I'm not trying to be defensive, but we're doing our best. And if you have names of people that we don't have, we'll be more than happy to make that happen.
But this isn't just a ownership of property on Nepco Lake issue. This is a Port Edwards issue. This is, I know it's because the way the laws are written, right? But this affects people in the county. This affects people in the state. This isn't.
So let me just share, we first thought we had to, that this was a Wood County issue. So we went to the Wood County Board of Supervisors meeting and took a kind of, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. And take your temperature on, is that something you would consider approaching the rest of the board with? They were very positive about it. They were very positive. But then we found out it isn't a Wood County issue. Wood County can only respond to things like this that are on rivers or streams. They can't do lakes. And it's legally up to the municipalities that have property on the lakes to address this. That's why.
To his point, the public hearing, aspect of that's required for this is also mandated to publicly, post in the newspaper. If it, you know, that would give you a little bit broader notification of a public hearing on the matter.
Thank you,
So
President.
for clarification, I understand what you're saying with this. I mean, this is a broad range of people that can use Nepco Lake. It's not just people that live on Nepco. However, I'm on the Nepco Lake District as well, but that's who they are responsible for answering to. So it's instances like this, and like he was talking about for public comment or public hearings, that's when like the broader people get notified. Right, so I think I don't think the intent was ever to limit people, it's just they had their contact info, so they sent it out to people. This is obviously a public meeting where you can come and discuss this and your concerns, but this is also like very, very early on in this. And we knew based off of the Nepco Lake District meeting that if this continues past this meeting, there's gonna have to be bigger meetings with more people, pros and cons. So I just don't want anybody to think that we're trying to limit. It's just Nepco Lake District did their due diligence as the district to notify the people that they could. And then us as a municipality, obviously, this is a public meeting, again, very early on in this, so I'm more than happy to have whoever
Yeah, no,
come
that-
and discuss that,
that
if that
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
I'm not usually involved in any kind of political matters,
Right.
especially at a local level, being new.
Mhm.
So I don't always know exactly how these
Yep.
things work.
Yep, so that's just been the process so far. Like you said, the Nepco Lake District meeting was last week, the week before.
August 16th, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is relatively new, like just getting our toes in, so to speak, of this discussion. And obviously it's gonna have to go much bigger the farther we go, because like Scott Stewart has said, if 2 out of the 3 don't do this, I mean, we're not gonna keep wasting our time pushing this, this down the road. So again, we're just the first municipality to start this
I
discussion.
want to echo President Mansell's comments. Thank you for everybody for your input. But we're very early on in the discovery investigation stage. And we want all information that we can get to make an informed decision eventually, whatever we do. But right now, we're kind of in discovery. So thank you, everybody, for coming. And I appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation. And I think we'd be more than happy to hear other condition reports or whatever. And Trustee Saylor, you had your hand up.
I did, but I think it kind of echoed from you guys. I just got this email in the ordinance a week ago, less than a week ago. So I didn't even know anything about it, haven't heard of nothing. I know that our process for creating ordinance isn't driven by, anybody can just write in ordinance and then we have to accept it and approve it. I mean, that's part of this committee to chew it up, digest it, and come out with the best thing. So things are way too early. I think there's a lot of stuff in the Lake Association with the residents, with the people of the lake. A lot of that stuff needs to be figured out prior to coming here with the proposed ordinance and accepting it or not accepting it. So I think right now, I mean, there were some good things. I like the education over limitation and the reasonable, responsible over reasonable use. But a lot of that's gotta be pushed back on the lake and figuring out, and then we can come and have those discussions after we have all the data and all that other stuff. We have representatives from the board that attends those meetings, so all of that will come back to us and then more discussion can happen, but I think we're way far off right now.
Okay. Yeah, we are. And I'm gonna ask to go off table one more time. You okay?
Yeah, great.
Go ahead.
Good.
I just really liked the comment there and I think it's important, just based on exactly what you said. I don't think, and I know it wasn't a motion, but kind of an indication that, well, let's just move it along because there's more steps in the process. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So I just think if there's more information for you guys, I wouldn't just say, well, let's move it on because we're gonna get more information along the way. Everything I've seen in life, that never seems to go well. So I just really appreciate the commentary there of if there's more research to be done, you do it before we start moving it to a next step.
Thank you for your input. Did you have something?
No,
Thing? Okay,
Very good. Appreciate it.
trying to hear. Okay, thank you, everyone. Any discussion on table about this or we're gonna, I think that's enough for now.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for your input. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You can sit through all the other stuff if you. Moving on, number 6, chairperson comments. I don't have any. Number 7, update on DMI. There is no update as normal. Update on 160 Market Avenue. He has not heard back that they have gotten the quote from Altman Construction. And so that is still stagnant. He's gonna wait to hear back. He's trying to get that information to see if the bid comes in and they're gonna accept it. We are still accumulating all of the fines for that property.
Sorry to interrupt, but before you go on with the DMI, can I just ask a question about
Yes, you
that?
may.
So was there any conversation about the media potentially getting involved?
We have a meeting on the 30th.
On the
And
30th.
Scott Krug is coming.
Thank you. I forgot that.
Sorry.
We did. This Friday, we have a meeting with Representative Krug's office to the ad hoc committee to go through that and see what state and or federal assistance we can get to try to get the ball moving from that side. So we're trying to pull in our state legislators to see.
Great, that sounds good. And also you talk about, should we be doing something with the media?
Yeah, we can talk
Yep.
about
On the
that.
30th, you said it is?
Yeah, 4:30 here.
Great, thank you.
So you're welcome to come. Sorry, I inadvertently skipped that.
That's all right.
Then number 9, discussion on date for village community meeting for chicken ordinance. Now, I Would like a recommendation, if anybody has some dates, to have this town hall to discuss this. My suggestion, unless I don't need to be there, I'm going to be out of pocket from the 2nd through the 11th. So we could do it later that week, that Friday or the following week.
So my question for a town hall or some kind of community meeting, we can't be there. Right? Can't have a quorum.
I think if we can,
It has to be like 2 people.
I'll double check with Nick, but I think it's. Cause I remember seeing school board posts, like they were all going to like a conference, so like there is there's a potential to have a quorum, however, no discussion, no emotions are coming from it. It's like, it's educational or listening based sessions, but I can work with Nick to see if that is true, and then I can send that out to just say, you know, you're gonna have to watch the recording.
Yeah, I agree. I think you might be right, but
Cause I would
So-
think that you'd have to be here, like the appropriate people could be here to listen, we just can't interact and we can't make a discussion out of it, is my assumption of how that works. But I will double check with Nick on that.
And this is what we hear is advisory
yeah.
to us. It's not
Right,
voting and
No.
all that stuff. So
correct.
It's to
Just
get
information
advisory input
gathering.
from the village to
sound
see if
familiar,
they're,
what we're talking about, it's
Yeah.
advisory, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that is the whole thought process in to make an educated decision, to have input from the village so we can make an informed decision. So, I guess, are there any,
Would that be a recorded event?
Yeah,
Here?
I would record it. Or I shouldn't say I, me or Ben would record it, just so that if you can't make it, then. You
would that
can
be
get the,
here?
yeah, so then you,
Depending on size.
depending on the
we
size, we
had that-
could move it,
Yeah, we
right.
had them down there when we
Right.
did Village 54 or the Highway 54.
yep.
They had,
So either way, I think we could record it just to make sure if you can't be there, then,
okay. I guess I'm
There's
looking for
opportunity.
input for a date. What works for
What dates did you say you're not available?
the 2nd through the 11th
of June.
June?
I would probably push this out to beginning of July if possible, just so that
Okay.
everybody gets enough notice. We can run it
That's
around
fine with me.
however we
We
need
could
to.
do June 30th that week or to stay away from the 4th of July.
Right.
Thoughts from other trustees?
The same right between baseball.
around that time
Doesn't matter.
is possible for me.
Okay,
I mean, the 30th would potentially work.
that's Monday.
Yep.
Yep.
We could do it Monday. Oh, you okay with that?
June 30th.
President Mansell?
I might be in Georgia for baseball, but again, if it's recorded, that's not a huge deal. Or I can zoom in too. Zoom Teams, whatever it's called.
What time?
I think we should do it after like working hours, right?
5:30? 6 o'clock? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have it if people are working after work hours.
So 6 o'clock? 6 PM, 6:30. Thank you very much for your input. Okay, it's going to be informative, so there does not need to be an agenda, is that correct?
I will work with Nick and just confirm.
Okay, thank you very much. Now the discussion points, the updating of the ordinances. I don't know if everybody got a chance to go through it. I did. The comments that Ben had were all of his changes are in, or his suggested changes are in yellow. I'm not 100% sure. Do you know why he highlight all will be presented to the village board for approval?
I do not know.
Probably just to be the oversight. So how this has worked in the past is when Boz was here, because we did chapter by chapter by chapter.
Yep.
In the past, and then he made all the changes in red. And then after they were approved, then they turned black.
Mhm.
Correct.
And so now there's red ones and there's yellow ones.
Well, the yellow is what Ben highlighted, and I understand all of the ones, he wants to go back, like for number 2, he wants to go back from the administrator to the village board. And number 3, from the administrator to the village board, so he wants to go to what's in yellow.
Okay.
But I don't know why he highlighted all will be presented to the village board for approval. Because that's been in there, that's red, that's been in there.
Here's my assumption. That when it goes to village board, it might go to FHR, it might go to hiring subcommittee, it might go to shared interviewing with the village manager and a board member. Those are, to me, all options.
I am going to make a suggestion here. Since Ben did this,
Mhm.
and Ben is not here to explain himself, other than what I know,
Mhm.
that, and I will add to it that we table it till next meeting.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, and then, and then it's helpful to know what the yellow meant, because I had no idea
Yes,
what that meant.
my understanding in my discussions, the only other
I don't
question
wanna,
I had,
I don't wanna assume I heard him right and then put it out that
correct,
it's wrong.
there are some that I had in here that I will review actually. And if it's okay, I talked to Nick because he knows all this, the emergency management aid.
Mhm.
I can't find that one, but I think it's this one and he's gonna verify it for me. So we just need to change the
Oh.
verbiage
Got it.
of what statutes it's in. And I'm gonna probably ask that Nick help me because that's his bailiwick
Mhm.
of all the statutes. So we'll come back with those changes.
Yeah, that sounds good. There were 5 or 6 places, small little things that could be updated to get rid of male gender bias when it talks about his office, when it's really the
Their-
treasurer's office.
Can
and that
you
kind of
bring those next time so we?
Yeah, I've got 'em.
can-
I've got 'em here.
Okay, then I think let's get Ben here next time and then we will clean up this.
Great.
And then this is exactly what I think we're talking about. Thank you very much. So we'll table that. That will go on the agenda for next time. Any old business? And you're none, any new business?
I think I just have a clarification question. So are we deferring, tabling and I'm fine with it. I'm just asking, what did we end up doing with the Scott's request to us to review the ordinance? Are we, what do we say?
For,
Oh, for the wake enhancement? Oh, good question.
Are you deferring till we digest the information that was given by those that
I think
wanted
we-
and those opposed for a while?
My recommendation is gonna be that we're deferring the discussion with the information that we now received.
Great.
Because, and then we can have further discussion on it next time. And then we can, at that point in time, decide whether we want to submit this. Because I think there's some other things that we may be able to glean out of some of this information. We could ask for more. information.
Totally acceptable. The reason why I asked was, I don't think there's any other action or from the Lake District that needs to be done.
No, I don't think I'm ready personally to move it on to,
Or review stuff at this point. I mean, what I'm just saying is, I don't need to bring this back to, what I want to do is be able to bring it back to the Lake District and say exactly what you said, that's the next step.
yeah, we're in discovery. Trustee Saylor, I'd ask.
I'm just confused on how a homeowner can just write an ordinance and say, this is what I recommend. You know, if an ordinance was produced out of the Lake District,
Yep.
that would hold a little more teeth.
Okay,
Well,
they brought it to the Lake District.
but him not even being a member of the Lake District board per se.
I'd rather have somebody, frankly, have property owner brings something to the Lake District and the Lake District decide whether has merit to consider, then have the Lake District.
Has the Lake District looked at this and made a decision on this proposal?
The
To move it.
proposal was to have the municipality review it and get their understanding and take on whether or not they would consider that's what I understood. It wasn't, yeah.
I could flip that very easily and say that coming from I agree with trustee Saylor, coming from the Lake District, saying we've reviewed it and we recommend it to the village means something too.
Well,
Well, Sorry.
we're not the ones that have the power to do the ordinance.
Correct, but you are homeowners on the district and that's the enhanced wake boats will impact their property.
Correct.
So that would mean something coming from that group to the village. They don't have jurisdiction over the lake.
What do you want from the Lake District then? Let me go back to the.
From my
Yeah, I
perspective,
mean,
An endorsement.
yes.
And so to
I
help
think it-
clarify, I think I see the things missing.
Yeah.
I
It
think,
is.
so the Neville Lake District endorsed Scott Stewart to come here. So like he brought this and he's done the research and I mean, he's been at the Devco Lake District meetings. I think he went to an additional meeting about a waterways or something. I could be wrong on that,
Well,
but essentially the
remember,
Nevco Lake
yeah.
District.
3 members of the board were at the Lake and Water Convention in whatever September it was. And listened to presentations, statewide presentations on the matter.
So, but essentially what I'm trying to say is the Neville Lake District gave the blessing for Scott Stewart to do the presenting on
Yes.
behalf of the
If
Neville
I
Lake
can-
District.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the motion that was approved was to request the village of Port Edwards to create a ballast boat ordinance on Netco Lake.
So,
That was the motion.
okay, so it did go through that,
Yeah.
that committee and you're recommending it to us. that
and
you
Scott
do-
Stewart was the
Yeah,
point.
went to the district.
Thank you. That's, I guess, answers our 2 questions. Does that, trustee Taylor?
No, I mean, just only reading this a couple days ago. I don't know the history behind it. I don't know.
I totally.
So to me, I've been burned on other things.
Yeah.
That's happened in the village and getting this point of view and this, literature and stuff and saying this is the reason why we want to do it. All right, so what's the other side? And there was a couple people here that
Mhm.
expressed their opinions, but I don't know what's right. Are other people doing it? I don't think we always gotta be the tip of the spear, but we should be doing whatever, not what everybody else is doing, but, I don't wanna be the person that's accountable for making a decision one way or the other without having the proper, documentation per se.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What other documentation would be helpful?
There was a gentleman that said that he would be willing to come in and give another condition report on that facts. I'm in favor of getting
Yeah,
the other
I
facts.
read some of this. It's not super research based, like data driven, but that's fine.
Well, and I think
That-
the other piece that these guys are missing is like at our Neville Lake District meetings, like we have county people, we have people from the state who have come in and talked about this too. So maybe going
Yeah.
back and just looking at
Would it have
that.
to have the DNR water specialist share his point of view?
Yeah.
Okay, I can talk to him and ask him to do that.
Cause everybody has an opinion. And
Mhm.
to put us on the spot today and say, all right, what do we need?
I was fully
I don't-
intending for you to defer and say, we need to have people look at it.
Yeah.
And that stuff,
100%.
so,
I do not want to do what Scott said and say, approve it, moving on the DNR and then this process,
I
because
wouldn't have voted for.
that's approving it and it shows that we approved it, but maybe we didn't truly
We don't
approve
have all
it
the-
to kick it down the hall.
I get it,
Yeah.
and he's
Passionate about it.
feels very much affected by it and so forth, so. But I can't, I didn't wanna speak out of turn.
Okay. I appreciate all this conversation and I'm in agreement with all of it. I think the only thing that can come out right now is if we have suggestions on how we can garner more information. So if there's another avenue to bring somebody in, I'm all in favor of that. To bring somebody in, we need to make an educated, informed decision. And the best way to do that is to get the experts to come in and help us to make that decision.
Okay, well, then, let's consider that. I'll talk to the DNR folks and any other experts, and you may end up getting, boat makers wanting, because they go sometimes
Mhm.
go in and make their case.
Yep.
And I.
I'm in favor of
That's what you
all
want.
sides.
You can get that. But let's see what some other
Do
additional.
you have
experts-
those contacts and can make those and?
I'll ask, yeah, and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I
That
appreciate that.
clears up for me what,
Yeah, I'm looking for more information because right now I'm not as informed as I would like to be.
so I think you want to digest the information you do have and see if there's additional expertise that would bring to the table that you could ask questions.
I went through this condition report and I got down so many holes looking at all this information.
It's a lot.
That then I just had to back out
I
and,
mean, that's the problem, is getting you more and then it being more, but we'll see. We'll get to the point, I think, where you'll be able to understand their points of view. I get it.
Yep.
And this is a hot issue. There will be people that'll be upset either way
Mhm.
Yep.
this goes.
Mhm.
That's why your subject matter expert or whoever that you're gonna try to get in contact, I'd like to see both sides.
Mhm.
No, maybe not, I mean, obviously don't tailor it one way.
Yeah.
But maybe have somebody that has a lot of, not experience just physically wakeboarding or whatever, but I mean, somebody with some data that could.
Good. I'll do that with Scott. I did ask Nick. Cause he said, yeah, there's a professor at UW Stevens Point that says there's no, and I said, well, give me her name
Mhm.
and let's find out, let's learn. He hasn't given it to me yet. So,
I agree, because what I learned in here, that wave energy, wind-driven wave energy is very powerful too, but it
Mhm.
needs a while. So, and they compared it to boat waves. And so anyways, I just want to understand it more.
Thank
So
you. It'll be a hot topic. If I get out of bounds, bump me or whatever, but I'm trying really hard to let those people be part of the,
We need to
Yeah.
have
and I hope
as
it comes
much
across.
input as we can get.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of like
Okay,
the chicken.
any correspondence?
The only correspondence I've had is just the questions about the wakeboard.
Me, 1, 2, so yes.
So,
Future agenda items, the village ordinances,
Chapter 1.
pardon me?
Chapter 1.
Yep, chapter 1. And then updates on our ongoing sagas, EMI and 160. Anything else that you can think of right now? Next meeting date, it's 6/25, 5:30. Is that okay? Same date as the others? Okay, if that's okay, if there's no objection, I'll adjourn at 6:34. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thought you handled it. Thought you facilitated very well today again.
Thank you.